Hello, knife lovers, knife enthusiasts, interested viewers. Folder here. I want to do a overview on the Cold Steel Master Hunter San Mai. I did a prior video with this knife as one of my favorite fixed blades, and promised to do a video in the future, doing an overview. I'm gonna stop calling my reviews my overviews reviews, because reviews are a little bit different. Overview is very different. Overview is sort of like giving you the 411. Review is when you actually review a knife, and I very rarely do that. Like when you really put the knife through tasks, put it through the paces. So this is definitely more of an overview. So let's see. Let's do some maintenance. So this thing, right, is 9¼ inches. The blade length is 4¼ The handle length is just over 4¼ which I mean 4½. I'm sorry, blade's 4½, 4½ on the handle also, which gives you 9¼ okay. So for a fixed blade, fixed blades are big potentially. So this is a smaller fixed blade. The Master Hunter, definitely, yeah. On the fixed blade side, we're talking a smaller knife, 4½-inch blade. The weight of this thing, because the reason why you would definitely want to weigh something like this is because, so it's 6 ounces, which is excellent actually for a knife this big. If you're comparing it to fixed blades, I have fixed blades that are heavier than 6 ounces. So this is one of those situations where actually weighing a knife does matter, because if you're carrying this, you're going to be carrying it using the Secure X sheath, and you're out there. You're either on a trail, you're hunting, you could even be out on the water and have this as a knife that you're carrying, and weight does matter because you're going to have gear. So yeah, so 6 ounces is definitely not bad. This is the sheath that it comes with. I have these straps in here because it gives me the option for smaller to back carry. And these are excellent. I have them for all my fixed blades from Cold Steel, the Secure X sheaths. Fantastic. Blade goes in. Once it doesn't click as loud as the other ones, but it locks in there really nice. You do not need this strap. This thing, you can shake this thing till the cows come home. Fall down a mountain, this thing is not going to fall out of there. It's really locked in there nice. And when you want it, you just pull it out. So these, I can't say enough about. Cold Steel definitely has, in my opinion, the best sheaths out there, or one of the best. They definitely serve their purposes. These things you want to hold a knife. You don't want the knife to fall out, and you want it to easily be able to go in. You don't want to have to fiddle and faddle with it to get it to go in there. You just want it to, have a nice opening here where you can just put this thing in, and it technically locks in without the strap. I mean, the strap is just extra precaution, obviously, but yeah. So, can't say enough about the sheaths. They're very, very good, and you can change the position of these things. You can put them any way you want. Like I said, I have this set up for regular hip carry, side hip carry, and the straps if I choose to do smaller back. Okay, so if you are, this is the Cold Steel VG-1 San Mai. This knife happens to be made in Japan by Cold Steel Company. And if you're not familiar with San Mai, what it means is that it's 2 or 3 steels, and it's essentially folding steel. In this particular instance, it's the 420 VG1 core, VG1 core, with a 420 wrapped around it. And the reason why they do that is because the 420 is going to give it the incredible softness, so it has toughness, and you're talking about incredible stainless ability. And then the edge is where you see the VG-1. If you notice in the camera, and I'm sure you can see that, there's that one little line that goes right there behind the edge, and that's where the VG-1 is exposed. So, these knives, VG-1 is a little bit older than the newer Sanmais that used VG-10. And honestly, VG-1 and VG-10 are very similar anyway. They're pretty much identical, I believe. The only difference might be hardness. No, is hardness, I'm sorry. It's the only difference. I think VG-1 is 58 to 59 HRC, and VG-10 is 60 to 62, depending on the heat treat, from what I understand. This knife also comes in 3V, which is, that's actually also an amazing thing, but we'll stick with the Sanmai because that's what we have in front of us. So yeah, right, along with those dimensions, I do want to talk about the thickness of this knife. This knife is very thick. Very thick. If you look at the blade stock, it's very thick, and the camping and hunting tasks, this will fit the bill because of that thickness. And let's just see what that. I just want to know how thick it actually is. The blade is, yeah, 4.6 millimeters. Yeah. Yeah, and the handle is 19. So 19, 20 millimeters comes out to like, what is that, like a quarter? You can switch that over to inches on that one. Right, 3/4, I'm sorry. Yeah. 0.7, 0.8. So 3/4, yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty thick. Yeah, pretty thick. Nah, really, really nice. And yeah, it has to be, because woodcrafting, in the bush, batoning, also for field stripping an animal. This is a smaller knife, so you can do that also. Any tasks for in the wilderness. If you look at the blade, it's got a nice sharpening choil. I'm glad they did that actually, and if you see where the choil is, yeah, it's actually perfect, because it would never. Yeah, you got a couple of sharpenings here in front of you where you could use it. It's right there below the VG-1. I'm also gonna just mention another cold steel product, and this is really just a testament of their folding knives, because this is mostly a folding knife channel. But the SR1, cold steel SR1, this knife here, this when you think about fixed blades and how incredible like a full tang fixed blade like this is, and then you take a knife that's a folding knife, we know that the heaviest tasks are use a fixed blade, because you don't want to deal with any folding mechanisms. But the triad lock is an incredibly strong lock. It's the strongest lock. And the SR1, Survival Rescue 1, basically, look at this thing. Like, when you really compare this knife to a fixed blade, like, look at the blade stock. I mean, I actually think it's thicker. Actually, why even? That's absolutely incredible. Didn't even really realize. Let me see, put it back on. Yeah, it's about the same. 4.7, 4.8. It's close enough. Yeah, so they're about the same. visually it looks thicker, but it's about the same. So, but it's a fixed blade. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely crazy. You look at the size of these things. Like you line these things up, you know, in overall length, they're identical. Now you put the blades next to each other, then you know you got about an inch more on the fixed blade. You know, because this is a 4 1/4, and this is just under 4 or at 4. So it's a little bit more reach on this, but you know, but essentially. And then you know you have the tanto shape, so that's another thing. But yeah, no, I just wanted to point out, you know, when you're talking about the biggest knives, um, the biggest folders, you know, match up to like, and I'm not saying this is the smallest fixed blade. Of course it's not. There's fixed blades smaller than this, but this is a relatively small fixed blade. I mean, when you go out into the wilderness, people are carrying, you know, you're in the wilderness, okay, away from civilization, you know, so people carry bowies and, you know, they carry stuff that, you know, is really big out there. You know, so yeah, that's one knife, and another knife is the AD10. And I'm just bringing this out because these knives are so beefy, and I like comparing them to fixed blades because, you know, in the folding knife community, we these are known as the biggest. You know, these are known as the biggest, baddest knives. You know, I mean, of course, there's stuff that's out there that's, you know, ridiculously overbuilt. Of course, you know, we got Medfords and other manufacturers that make stuff that's insane. But, you know, these are regular pocket knives. These aren't anything crazy. I mean, you can carry this in your pocket, you know, and but it's a big knife, you know, and it's really more handle and stout. You know, it's not some crazy long blade that's, you know, grotesquely illegal somewhere. You know, it's not. It's just a regular pocket knife, but it's tall, it's beefy, and it's designed for heavy work. You know, and like I said, I do a lot of woodwork around my house because I have a fireplace, and I burn you know, I have a real fireplace, you know, wood, chopping wood, putting wood in it, you know, that type of fireplace, not a gas fireplace or something with fake fire. It's a real fireplace, and I use my knives, especially with the kindling and, you know, certain wood tasks that go along with that, because it's a fireplace insert, so you have to have smaller pieces of wood, tailored pieces of wood to go in there. So I use my knives for that. Yeah, so that's really it. It's just and then I just wanted to do for fun, just put a PM2 down here because the PM2 is a really big knife. Technically, it's um, one of the larger folding knives, and that compared to one of a fixed blade, you know, it's just you can't compare it. You know, the blade stock difference is insane. You know, and the PM2 is known for having decent blade stock. You know, in the folding knife world, this is decent. You know, but you compare it to, you know, a fixed blade, it's no comparison. So, but yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to do an overview of this knife because I displayed it one time before. Love this thing. Really, really nice quality tool made by Cold Steel. So, anyway, okay, that's all I got.